Hello there, good morning and welcome once again to my little arty corner on YouTube. My name's Angela and I like to draw, and I'd just like to say a big hello to all the new subscribers, a warm welcome back to all my old subscribers, and a very, very nice hello to those of you who are just visiting and passing through, as it were. I hope you like what you see. If you do, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Even if you only watch part of the video, it just helps YouTube share this with other people who may be interested. And if you'd like to share it with those you know who might be interested, that would be fan-dabby-dozy as well. Although I don't offer anything in return other than perhaps more videos. And who knows how this will develop in the future, because I don't. I have no plans at all for this. I'm just seeing what happens. So it's a lovely sunny day, if a bit frosty this morning here in the valleys of South Wales. So I am likely to have light issues as the sunlight starts to stream through my window, but I'm sure you'll understand because I prefer to have some sunshine than shut it out. Yesterday, excuse me, I'm taking part in the Fragments of Your Imagination challenge, which is hosted on the 7F5R challenge Facebook group. And 7F5R are a group of 3 women who go by that name, 7 Forests, 5 Rivers, and they're an art studio focusing on Zentangle in Singapore, and that's fantastic. And yesterday, this was the fragment, this one up here was the fragment for yesterday's challenge, fragment of the day, and I got rather stuck in all of these here. I eventually did manage to break my mould a little bit, but as in get out of the rut or the circularity I was stuck in. And I just thought I'd like to show you that I've actually put them to use in a drawing I'm doing. So this is being worked on, it's not finished. I've got a smudge there, which isn't surprising. And I've got one of the square versions here and the other one there. So very similar but quite different in feel, and that idea of things that seem to travel underneath, having a hidden pattern is quite interesting and intriguing to me, and I know that will come out when I finally add shadow and or colour, if I do. The other things I'd like to show, the day before, the Tangle the fragment for the day was Moonberry, which is basically one of these. It looks like a blueberry. So I put some of those in there, but some of the other variations I came up with are in here as well. So this is a variation. So instead of just having a plain circle like a berry, I created these weird kinds of, I don't know, things that you might find living in an ocean. This is a triangular version of it, using that idea of a central kind of star with an aura. And so I did that. I've got the flower one here, and I've got blueberries filling a little channel there, like they're being transported from one place to another. Perhaps they're going all the way into here and popping out here. And there's some of my other favourite things in here. I've got Diva Dance, and I've got my favourite little flowers. I've got Perk there. Perk was another challenge, a Tangle pattern, Tangle fragment of the day, not long ago. This is taken from a medieval manuscript or inspired by, oh look, little square blueberries, or moonberries I should say, little square moonberries. And here I decided to put these radiating lines in. I ended up filling alternate areas with betweed, which is the first time I feel that that Tangle pattern has actually worked successfully for me. So I'm quite happy with this. There's a lot to be done though, it has to be said. But though I do want to leave open areas, and I've got little patches of white which I need to fill in the black areas, but I need my eyes to work properly for that. So I just thought you might like to have a look to see that I actually do use these. Maybe not everything I come up with, but sometimes things just grab my attention and I have to go with them. So what is today's Tangle pattern fragment? Well, I'll get to that in a moment. Just let me draw my little frame for my page. And I deliberately put little wobbly bits in because I hate using rulers to draw pen lines. And I don't mind the unevenness of having, if deliberately uneven. If I want to draw a straight line, a deliberately straight line, that's what I will do. Today's pattern of Fragment is 20th of January. I can't believe that. And it's Ivily. And I think this one, it looks like it's a Debbie New. I'm just going to check. I haven't done my looking up things before starting filming, which is very naughty of me. I'll just check. Yeah, it's another, I believe it's another one by Debbie. It is another one by Debbie New, I think. And hashtags for the challenge are FYIC 2022 Fragments of Your Imagination Challenge and hashtag 7F5R Challenge. And that's for the Facebook group. So yeah, so that's interesting. You can also find information on these Tangle patterns and fragments and so on by going to that Facebook group if you're interested in finding out. Now this is a fragment, so it's not the original Ivily, it's inspired by. And the way that it's been done, this is the very first time I'm going to draw this, is it's a pattern that I can, it takes me a while to work out how this has been drawn, but I'm going to do it this kind of way because this is how I make sense of things. I have to do it my way, I suppose. I'm going to start by splitting this this shape up into half, and I'm just putting these little bits here. Then a little point in the middle of that section, and I'm going to draw a curved line going that way, a curved line going that way, and a line going up to the center there. And this creates the basic shape of an ivy leaf. We've got these little nicks going on here as you would in an ivy leaf. I can see it, but I can't see it too well, to be honest, in the pattern. So I'm going to do this again, where I'm going to go up that way and back this way, and then a roughly straight line there, and just pop some little nicks where they would be on the sides of these leaves. I don't know if that makes any sense. So it's kind of the ivy shape. Is kind of that shape. So if you can see those shapes in here, possibly, I think I've got that right there. You know, I'm going to roll with my own shapes because I'm finding it really difficult to make sense of this as a pattern. I can see I've misstepped this one here, or misstroked it a bit, and perhaps that's what's making it not so easy to see. So let's have another go. I do think that having this in the center helps, but we go up to above there, so it's a straight line there, and so it would be a straight line there, and then a curve that way, a curve that way, so that makes the central part, and then these then go that way and that way. So that makes more sense, and I prefer this perhaps without those little nicks, because I'm not quite sure where they belong. So I'm just going to do one more of these. So I'm just getting a feel for this. And actually I think I will just extend these that little bit so that I don't have, that's better, that feels better. More like this shape here almost echoes that, which is what we want. So straight line there, straight line there, curve that way, slightly curve that way, and a definite curve there and there. And then we can echo those line shapes and fill that in. There we go. So I've got that. And then it's about adding these little bits along the side. Perhaps. I'm doing one without and one with here now. So it takes me a while. It's just to show that there's no harm in, you don't get something right the first time. You draw it, you look at it, assess what's not quite right, and then draw it again and see where it leads. Sorry, I'm still having my morning mocha. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try, but this time I'm going to use these shapes deliberately. So I'm going to split that. And that's one ivy leaf in. And that's my other ivy leaf in there. And with that. So that makes, drawing it that way actually makes more sense to me of it being ivy leaves. So, but then I'm comfortable with drawing ivy leaves or that kind of shape. So, whichever way you prefer really. This one has a lot more black in it, it feels, and I haven't got these lines here splitting. I think that's what is confusing me, is the lines splitting the leaf up, is that I'm not able to see that shape so easily there. It does make an interesting pattern. But, that really is my take. It's totally different and a completely different way to get there. Isn't that interesting? I suppose I could add some leaves, and you know what that reminds me of now is going back to moonberry. Yeah, remember the moonberries? I'll just get that out of my book, my sketchbook, and we can see those perhaps. Oh, yeah, here they are. So, oh gosh, preparedness, Angela. See? Looks a lot like moonberries, doesn't it? In a strange kind of way, but I didn't get to that with these. So there we are, it's interesting. Okay. I think the difference here as well is that I've put these with the longest points of the leaf vertically. Here, they're diagonally, aren't they? So we've got, yeah, I can see what's happening now. Is that we have the longest part of the leaf. And what I'm going to do as well, how can I do this? Let's try doing this so I've got this on a slant, and so that the longest part of the does that make any more sense? I don't know for sure. So that the longest part of this ivy leaf is here, and then we've got those two there, and so here it's the same thing. How can I do this? This would make more sense, wouldn't it, if I... That's better. I'm really having trouble with this, aren't I? I think that gets those... I really am having trouble with this fragment. It does work better if I put that central line on a slant, because I really do get that length of that leaf, but then it looks an odd shape. Perhaps not. Perhaps not. I don't know. I think getting a lot of bluster from me this morning. If I pop this here and pop the leaves in, or the structure of the leaves like this, then I get some... Oh, that's an interesting shape. Okay, I'm going to leave that one for a moment. I'll come back to that. It's thinking about where the centre of the, the central point, not the dead centre, but the central point of where the veins of the ivy leaves would come off, and then construct the leaves that way. And how could I do this? Awkwardly is the answer. I cannot see the leaf for the lines really. Put that one roughly in the centre. This one would be close to one edge, there perhaps. Yeah, and then this one the same, so I'm going to need two of these on there really for how I've drawn that. And that's what makes this really awkward feeling, is that odd shape in the middle there. And it doesn't help to bring out these leaves particularly, unless, let's try auraing the outer edge of the leaves. Does that help? I think it does a bit. It's very clumsy, very clunky, but it possibly helps, but still not convinced. I'm going to try working with this kind of idea again. Is this the fragment where I fail? I don't know. I think I'm going to have to look at this in terms of an experience for myself, isn't it? And how... No, now I've got a fish rather than an ivy leaf. So that really wasn't something that would work. We've gone from ivy leaves to fish. I was almost going to say a naughty word then. Okay, let's go with it. Let's go fishy. All because, as lovely as the pattern is, it's not computing in my head at all. I get this sometimes with tangle patterns or fragments. Not so often with fragments, but I get to a point where I just think, I just can't. I just don't understand this. I don't understand what is going on. I think this I can make sense of. This idea of having that central line, this, and then perhaps auraing this. That I can make sense of. That makes sense to me. But then doing this, it's just not sitting in my head. Even doing me pop that in. It's having a fairly straight line, and then a line that bows out, a line that bows out, and a straight line, a curved line that way, that way. That makes sense to me. It's got a very different feel to this one because this shape is an unusual shape in the middle. You've got two straight lines and then they curve outwards. It's like a pillow box. But when I start to add everything else in, it starts to look completely wrong. Okay. So, how can I work with this? The answer is I don't know. I think, instead of using the leaf shape, let's have a look if I used a circle. Because changing shapes, sometimes things just happen and they just make some kind of sense. And what I'm going to do as well, I'm going to use a pencil because this may help. I'm going to pop the central lines of these leaves in. I'm going to pop in perhaps where the, let's have a look, where the lines of the lobes of the ivy leaves would go. So we'd have another ivy leaf there. Okay, so that would come around there and it would go in like that. And that then would make some kind, a bit more sense. I think I'd need to bring that there just a little bit. Okay, and if I bring these lines, I'm going to draw them in as if they're the low, not all the way down. But let's have a look at doing this on this side. So like so, like so, and like so, and pop those lines in. Right, that makes more sense to me, just a bit. And I'm going to, rather than fill this all with black, I will aura these areas so that the black is quite distinct and separate, I think. Now that makes more sense to me, and I think that I'd be able to translate that now to a leaf shape. If I hadn't been filming this, I think in the past I'd have just given up on this one. I've gone, I can't do it, I just can't get my head around it. But by persevering and working with it, I've got to a place where I'm beginning to understand what's going on a bit better. I think this would still look, it's that feeling of giving that black somewhere to, or an edge around it, rather than it just being the outermost edge. Just, things tend to look, or to me, or feel to me better when I do this, when I give them an outer border. And try it with that, because that may just help me to see what's going on a bit better and to make sense of it. I just find it a bit peculiar to have. I'm going to fill all of the black in on this one because that might help in bringing those leaf shapes out in this. I think it will in this case. We need quite a lot that side just to carve the shape of that leaf a bit better. It's funny, when you add black, it's almost like you feel like you've taken something away from the drawing even though you're adding to it. It's a very strange feeling. So yeah, they do look better, these ones, they do look better with that aura around them, and I will do that to the original one I drew up here. which is the one that is mostly the truest to the fragment in the challenge. Ooh, what a whole pile of potchiness and bother. In a good way, because I'm learning more. And I'll say it again, that sometimes there are fragments or patterns that just don't seem to work no matter what I do. Sometimes I find there's a video and I can watch the video and things click. And somebody else showing you so you can see the steps and how it goes together. Sometimes not even that helps because what's happening my brain can't make sense of. And that's fine because that's my brain. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong. It just means, it doesn't mean this isn't a lovely tangle. It just means that my brain is having a hissy fit about it. Okay, and perhaps I just need some more mocha. I don't know. All right, so that circular one has worked far better for me. And using pencil construction lines has definitely worked better for me. So let me have another go at a leaf shape, perhaps with those construction lines. I am going to pop that central line in though, because I really do think that helps. And this could be interesting because I'm going to do this way. So how would it normally go? This one would be a little curved, as would that one. So they would actually curve. So we get that kind of shape there, is it? I think so. So let's see how this works, because I'm going to draw these lines in first. Like so. And then let's have a look here. It's where I want to pop those little shapes in that turn these into little leaves. So I am going to end up with a weird shape in the middle again, but perhaps I'll learn to live with that. And then this one. Like so. Okay, it's getting more like it. One more go, and then I really am going to move to a different shape, I think. It's because it's triangular and I like triangles, and triangles really do vex me somewhat, or not vex me, but they are a lovely shape. Now I've done that, but what I really want is the leaves to go this way. So I don't know why I did that. It's going to be something like this, but hopefully so that's interesting. Perhaps I will just colour these edges in black to get rid of that dividing line. And I've ended up with something that looks a bit star-shaped in a weird way. So it's kind of a variation on that, but instead of drawing the leaf lobes going this way, I have started with a kind of arrow shape, and I've drawn the lobes in like that. So that is this. And I've done them directly from top to bottom. It's putting them in on diagonal that vexes me. Okay. So let's go to a square, but let's pop the square on its corner. And I suspect this will be a lot easier to do because there's a lot more space. Possibly. I'm saying that and I'm not entirely sure. This one is the easy one to do, because I am going to pop these opposing arrows in and draw one semicircle from those pencil points, and then an arc in down to the point, and so on like that. So there's 2 ivy leaves in there. So not quite the same, not quite the same construction. I can't seem to work out how to do this, but I think with a square we have got another option. So I'm going to go with what works best for me rather than trying to replicate this kind of idea in patterns, because it just is not working. And I think with this one I'm going to work diagonally, but I'm going to have the leaves all joining at the centre. See, I've gone and done this way, and I wanted to do these on the diagonal. Perhaps this is I won't say karma, but perhaps that was, you know, it's one of those slips of the pen that lead to something else. Okay, so let me get the first one in. I will pop these pencil lines in on the diagonal, and I'm going to, oh, that's how I'm going to do it. There we go. And of course, naturally, I haven't got enough space here for, it's just that one. I haven't left enough space really for the other leaf lobes here. So we'll try again. This time, I wonder, let me work from the outside to the middle, like this. That works better. So I'm basically joining the central points here, these outside lobes, the tip to the corner, then up to the middle, down there, join there, join there. So that makes a better use of the space as well. This is possible, but I'm going to have to, my head is working on that as I'm doing this one. I can see me spilling over onto another piece of paper today. So that's good. I've got that one. Okay, let's have a look at doing it this way, because I want, that's right, if I pop those in, that means that I get my leaf shape. If I pop the base of the leaves in first, they're sort of like it's a C shape, and then I can pop them in like this, and with practice no doubt I could make some of these, or make these leaves a bit broader at their base, but there we are. I got there in the end. She says, already having kind of done it, but done it with the, here I've got the leaves, the centre of the leaves running diagonally, here it's horizontal and vertically. So that's quite nice. I think with a square as well. We can fit a whole leaf in. Like that. Missed the corner there a bit, but have those. Perhaps in black, or I'm just going to cross hatch them in for now, just so it's, oh heck, I might as well colour them in. Don't have a brush pen easily to hand to do this. Makes it so much quicker and easier and neater. It's always good to have a range of pen widths. If you want a thick line, it's easier to use a wider pen than to go back and forth over the line to thicken it. As is, if you're going to colour it in, it's a lot easier to use a thicker, broader pen than it is anyone else. So that could be used. I mean, doing this is repeating around, so I could end up with something similar to this. The shape of the leaf is different though, but no doubt, if I take a square, then we can end up here with another way of doing this kind of leaf in this area. So that works, and also I've got enough space here just to pop another square in, so you could have that kind of thing going on as well. I'd have to make this one touch the side there for it really to be a good square, but the idea is down. Okie dokes. Other shapes. If we take a big triangle, I am going to pop pencil lines in, because I am going to have my leaves in this kind of fashion. Right, okay. Why do triangles always help me so much with everything? I've just seen how I can make that shape. I fitted that C shape in here, and then I've basically done almost a 90-degree line and then a slight longer curve there to create those bits of the leaves. So that works quite nicely. I do like triangles. Now, does that help me with this? Because essentially the shape that we've got here at the top is kind of a triangle, isn't it? So let me have a look. I'm determined to crack this, you know that. So if I pop that dividing line in, this is basically a triangle. And if I pop my lines in, construction lines like that, I can see that this is the bottom edge. this is where I'm going to have that nick in and then up, have that nick and up. Does that help me? Not really, because I'm going to have this off centre, so I think I'm just going to have to grit my teeth and pop that one at the centre. Okay, let's have a look at this one. So we'll have that one there. This will come up and in, and yeah, that one needs to be at the centre as well. It's this one that needs that smaller shape, smaller, possibly. So that kind of helps me, but I'm still not convinced I'm getting it. Okay, let's try another shape then. I've done a circle, and of course with a circle it would be lovely because you've got so much space that I think I'm going to knock in, split these into halves, and I'm then going to go from here, because I've got the base of the leaf on the outside here, and to the centre, here to the centre, yeah, here and up to the centre, and essentially what I'm getting are these shapes in between. I've still got these ivy leaves here, and if I just pop these little bits in, and I'm going to pop them in as black along the edge, that's the little nick at the bottom of the leaf, and then I can pop my veins in. But what is interesting is the other pattern that is going on there with those shapes that these leaves make as they meet, these ones here. So let me just pop this in and you'll see what I mean. I'm going to pop a central circle in there. How to construct patterns. So I want the points to all be forming that circle around. So you can see the ivy shapes, but here, what brings those ivy leaf shapes out is actually putting the lines in. I haven't done a very good job of creating lovely big lobes at the top, but here you can still see those ivy leaves, but we've got a completely different kind of pattern going on there. That's interesting to me. So that can stay there. And I just think, because ivy leaves are three-lobed, I could completely pop one ivy leaf in here, but just like with a triangle, if I use this to pop the leaves in like this, so I've got these bits here. Did I have that in the triangle? Yeah, there were these bits in the triangle, because you do get these little areas here. And then have a look. We just split these into half because we can go. I'm making it in a different way, the ivy leaf. So it's in rice, in terms of almost like rice shapes. So we've got those there. I think those lines would have been better done in pencil, and then I could have inked in the bits that made it look really like an ivy leaf. But we've got something different there. And I also am tempted to pop extra ones here and turn this into a flower. So that's another alternative. And of course all of these sections could be done in black, or they could be left blank and plain, but that works. So I've done one where we've got two, that's fine. Okay, other shapes. A semicircle. Can we split this? If I split it diagonally, there's not really an option for a shape there, for an ivy leaf to fit in, really. There is, but it's a very contrived, well, I say contrived, it's not. If I fit it in like that, and we get these little shapes around it, so that's possible. I'm thinking about one of these molygons, which looks a bit like a orange segment. So I'm just trying this out in pencil to see how it works, and then let's have a look. So I can pop that little notch in there, and I can let the shape of the polygon at the bottom be the bottom of the leaf, so that could work. And if I just pop this in, perhaps like that, it really does need, they really need to go up a bit further, I suppose, but that would work. In fact, with these I quite like having that kind of shape in the centre of the leaves, which is these, but raised up from the bottom. So it's going back to this kind of idea over here. And I've got the sun come across, haven't I? So I just close my sun out for a moment. There we go. And we can see what's going on here. So that's quite interesting. Actually, these outside shapes here are really interesting. They just caught my attention just now. Makes it look like we've got a stone with a carving in it, perhaps. There we go. So that would work quite nicely. The ginkgo leaf kind of shape would work. I'm trying to think, have I missed any out? I don't think so, really. My head just isn't getting around this. Let's go for a crazy shape. Can I fit ivy leaves in here? The answer is I have no idea, but we are going to give this a go. So I've just picked a point at random for the leaves to fit in. And again, this will look like these are actually very distorted. But that could almost work, I think. Especially if you're looking into if you're looking down into a hole, or it could be, you know, into a hole in a rock, so it's like you're looking at a fossil that's being chipped away at. I don't know. Ivy leaves. Okie dokes. I want to go back to these ones, and just try these in a square a moment. Put the lines in that way first, and perhaps give myself the curves that I need that way. And let's see if we can fit some kind of ivy leaf kind of shape in. They're not identical to that because I haven't got the upwards. So that's a different version, isn't it? I quite like that. It's different kinds of edge. You know, you've got all of these nice edges here. It'd be interesting to actually repeat that pattern. Let me have a look and see if I can do that going perhaps the other way. So this involves me popping a box in by joining the centres of the lines together, and I will pop any diagonal lines so I know where I'm going with these. Will this work? I don't know what I'm thinking of here. I think I wanted to do these. Look, pop those in. Yeah, it's how to get these so they are. So I'll put arcs in that start halfway along these edges and come together in the centre. And then completes the shape of the leaf just by doing a little J shape out to the edge. Fill those little gaps in there, and then we can perhaps pop that shape there. I'm not entirely sure this works, mind you. It needs some more work, and it needs a clearer head and a lot more mocha for me. That's a different way of doing it, perhaps. Perhaps. As I'm taking the option of having 4 in a square, whereas I could just have, I've done ones, I had 2 there, so 2 in a square. So what I've done here is I've put the diagonal line in, but I've put like a cross in the centre as well. And there is method here, honestly, I think. Yeah, there is. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to have this central line flaring out at the end a little bit. Then bring this back and this back to that cross, the tip of that cross, and then out to create the top part of that ivy leaf. And in the centre here, I can put that little notch in, and then I can add the lines for the lobes in. I'm not sure how successfully this works, but it's the start of something. I think I'd want a gap between the leaves in some way, and of course naturally I've run out of space here for that, but it's a start. Awkward shapes. This has been the most difficult fragment for me so far. It really has. I'm very quickly going to add some shadow, because that shadowing may help to make sense of these. So with the first one, I'm going to pop the shadow in the middle. I'm not sure whether that's the right thing to do with this one. I'm going to pop it at the corners just to see how that affects how these look and feel. Right, that one's quite three-dimensional. I haven't done a very good job of bringing that out. I'm going to leave the fish. Okay, this one, I really do think it does look like some strange kind of flower. So I'll just add some shadow to that. This one here. Some shadow just along the bottom edge. Add shadow to this one right the way around the edge of the box. That. And here with this, I'll add the shadowing in the middle. The leaves have that feeling of some kind of texture, but I'm also going to add it around the edge just here. Not all the way along. I'm just going to allow that to add the shadow to be darkest just under those the points of the smaller lobes of the leaf, and extend that shadow out so the highlights of the leaves stick out. Okay. This one was really interesting. I don't know what it is about this one, but it's really interesting, and I think it's something I need to think about perhaps and work with at a later time. It does have that feeling almost of being a rock, and this one I'm going to add a lot of shadow at the top and not so much at the bottom or in the middle. So I've got this feeling of, again, looking through a raggedy hole in the paper down at something very precious, perhaps hidden in the ground. Any others? This one was really, really interesting, this shape we've got here. It's familiar to me, but I don't know whether it's a Tangle pattern or whether it's from medieval art or architecture or Anglo-Saxon or Gothic windows. I don't know, but it's a familiar shape and pattern to me. Okay, I think I'm done with this. Sorry, Debbie, if you watch. Oh, I just think, this one has really vexed me. Totally vexed me. I can't make head or tail of the original pattern, even though it's really nice. I've tried and tried again. I think perhaps that's my best version of, but it's still not, doesn't feel right to me. Leaving out the leaves is the best, is going really minimal. That actually works quite nicely, and that is something I could have tried, actually thinking about it now, with some other shapes. So perhaps I will at another point in time. But I find that interesting, especially that minimal stick. But going with the ivy leaves and fitting them into different shapes, I think this has turned out to be one of my most fruitful or leafful explorations, is that discovery of this shape in there. I say discovery, It's just how it popped out when I was working on it. This is quite nice. These kinds of, sort of like ivy leaves have got a triangular shape to them basically, and so they fit perfectly well into a triangle. Anything, just about anything, will fit in a circle. And they actually work in the polygon. They'd work as well in a ginkgo leaf shape, because that is, the sides of the triangle curve in and then the bottom curves down. So that would work quite nicely as well. So plenty to think about here and to come back to with a clearer head, I think. But I definitely need a lot more mocha or tea or both before I do that. So I'm going to say thank you very much for joining me. I hope you found this interesting and perhaps helps you feel perhaps a bit better if you get vexed by something. It's not to give up, and it's okay totally to turn away from it and to go off on your own tangents, which is what I've done here. Why is it that why do some patterns vex me and I completely can't get my head around them? It's just the way my mind works. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with me. It just means that I'm me. And the same for you, Hopefully you can find something in here you could use. If you can give me any hints and tips on how to get this one to compute in my head or how to do it. I think I was getting somewhere with it, but I think I've just got tied myself up into a right knot with it all. So I am going to say thank you for joining me. And tomorrow's another day and another fragment. So I shall look forward to doing that one. So until I see you again, take care, look after yourselves, and find time to be creative. Goodbye for now. Hoi all.